Hello. I know it's been a while since I've made a video. Um, and this is just coming about because of some conversations and things that I've had with people and some things I've seen lately in various places. I've seen a few things on YouTube, and family members have sent things to me, and friends and that sort of thing. And I think this is a very important concept. That people need to get familiar with, to start chewing on. Because civilians love to join things. They like to be members. Those are critical words here. They like to belong. They like to be a part of something. And what they don't realize is in that capacity, they become bound. You know, if you're a member of this or a member of that. For instance, I don't think most people understand that when they join a church as a member of that church, they are becoming bound as a body politic to that corporate body, that corporate entity, that 501c3. And that generally will cause them to have joint and several liability for that corporate entity, because they're members. So this is this is a very critical thing to understand. Now, in the state of nature, which is where we should be, there's only one body, one corporate entity that we should be a member of, and that is our natural family. Everything else, we should try to avoid that membership like the plague, in my opinion, because it binds you. It causes you to lose some of your God-given freedom and power. And by power, I mean this idea, like in Romans 13, especially in the King James Version, it says something like, let every soul be subject to the higher power. That word power there is the Greek word exousia, and it really means your higher power of free will choice, this absolute dominion over the choices you make, and that you don't surrender any of this power to someone else to make choices for you, which is what happens when you become a member. You have to give up. I think there's actually a quote on, let me pull that up real quick, because that might be important to look at. You can find it real quick. In the very definition of citizen, because a citizen is a member of a corporate body, I think it's under, see if I can find, citizen, I thought I had, I might have gone too far. Let's go back to law here. Let's see. Scroll down. Citizen, AmJur, yeah, there we go. So this is from American Jurisprudence. That's these, law encyclopedias. I'll just put it here on the screen here. This is from 2D Volume 3, page 892, Citizenship in General. Generally, definitions and attributes. See what the first word there is. Boom. Membership. Membership in a political society is called citizenship and implies a duty of allegiance. That's a faith. That's fidelity. So when it says, I put my faith in something, I put my allegiance, my fidelity in something. So a duty of allegiance on the part of the member, and a duty of protection on the part of the society. These are reciprocal obligations, one being compensation for the other. The term citizen refers to a constituent member, again, member, might have a few typos in here, of a body politic owing allegiance to that sovereign. Thus, the term citizen is frequently used synonymously with that of people. and refers to the constituent member of the sovereignty, that is, a member of the civil state entitled to all its privileges. A citizen is the popular and appropriate sense of the term as one who by birth, naturalization, or otherwise is a member of an independent political society called a state, kingdom, or empire, and as such subject to its laws and entitled to its protection and all his rights incident to that relation. The derivation of the word from the Latin civitas conveys the idea of connection or identification with the state or government and participation in its functions. Therefore, while it implies the right of residence, it is not to be inferred from the fact of residence. Inasmuch as citizenship is a privilege, not due common right, it is the inherent right of every independent nation to determine for itself and according to its own constitution and laws what classes of persons shall be entitled to its citizenship. 14th Amendment citizens owe supreme allegiance to the federal government, but also qualified allegiance to the state in which they are domiciled. So, again, this is probably in some of my other videos on the citizen versus citizen, but you can see their membership is used I don't know how many times. And when you enter into civil society, this political society, you have to give up some of your rights. You're investing those rights in that sovereign, whatever sovereign you're setting up here, whatever God, whatever master that you are becoming bound to. So again, you want to retain that higher liberty. You want to retain that exousia, that higher power of having the dominion of free will choice, all of your choices invested in you. And the only political body that you can be a member of in order to retain that is the natural family. The minute you become a member of any of these other corporate bodies, you always give up some of your power and invest it in that body to operate as a member of that body. So let's go back to these other things I've posted here real quick. Let's look at, and this is kind of why I wanted to do this, because a lot of people say, we got to come together. We got to come together. We got to come together. Oh my goodness, the world's falling apart. We got to come together. Thanks for playing. I'm not saying that people shouldn't work together, but you don't want to come together. And what that implies, because of civilians, what they're automatically always trying to do is come together in a corporate body with membership, okay? That's not what you want to do. There's a difference between association and assembly, and that's why I kind of created this. This is all, again, definitions from legal dictionaries. So let's take a look at here. We've got association. The act of a number of persons uniting together for some purpose. The persons so joined are also called an association. See company, Bouvier's Law Dictionary, 1856. Association, the act of a number of persons in uniting together for some special purpose or business. It is a term of vague meaning used to indicate a collection or organization of persons who have joined together for a certain common object. Also, the persons so joining, the state of being associated, an unincorporated society, a body of persons united and acting together without a charter, but upon the methods and forms used by incorporated bodies for the prosecution of some common enterprise. It is not a legal entity separate from the persons who compose it. See also affiliation. An organization treated as a corporation for federal tax purposes, even though it may not qualify as such. under applicable state law. What is designated as a trust or a partnership, for example, may be classified as an association if it is clearly possesses corporate attributes. Corporate attributes include centralized management, continuity of existence, free transferability of interests, and limited liability. Now notice that look at some of these attributes. Because anytime a bunch of civilians want to come together, what's the first thing that they try to set up? Centralized management. They take their power and invest it in a leader, a ruler, some sort of leading body, some sort of board or whatever. It's some sort of leader that you're propping up. There's your centralized management. Okay. And then this thing, what you're hoping for is that it has a continuity of existence beyond the lifespan of its individual members. Okay. So notice that both of these definitions talk about uniting and joining and members in association. And what this is talking about here with this unincorporated part, if you got a whole bunch of, say you got 3 or more, 4, 5, 10, 100, 1,000, 14th Amendment U.S. citizens coming together for some purpose that they all want to do together, something that they want to, some problem they want to solve, whatever it is, whatever they want to come together for, whatever that purpose is that's bringing them into association. Even though they don't have a charter, where is that? I thought it was in here somewhere. Acting together without a charter, okay, are they going to be considered, if they take on this look of a incorporated association, are they going to be considered an association even though they're unincorporated formally without a written charter? Absolutely. And what master has rule? Who do all these little members, these 14th Amendment U.S. citizens, who is the master that's going to have exercise dominion over this unincorporated association? So even though you think you're doing something to maybe, we want to come together to be a little more free from the government or do things without so much government regulation. Well, you're all 14th Amendment citizens coming together in an association, and even though you're unincorporated, you're going to be assumed to be incorporated because you have a specific purpose that you're uniting and joined together to perform. So this was what happens with like planned communities or things like that. What you're doing is you're not following the law of God. You're joining yourself together in other body politics. This is what happened with the Pilgrims when they came here. They immediately made a charter on that boat before they went on land called the Mayflower Compact. And they're creating this association. And with all these rules and a centralized authority and blah, 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 blah. And they don't realize that they're going against what God wants in his Torah. The only corporate body that God ordains is the family. He also ordains his nation Israel. But what is the political unit of that nation? Is it a state? Is it an association? Or is it a family? Is it tribal units? Okay, big difference. All right, let's go on and see what happens here with affiliation. Act or condition of being affiliated, allied, or associated with another person, body, or organization. Imports less than membership in an organization, but more than sympathy. And a working alliance to bring to fruition the prescribed program for a prescribed organization, as distinguished from mere cooperation with a prescribed organization in lawful activities, is essential. It includes an element of dependability, whoops, let me move this a little further, of dependability which upon which the organization can rely, which, though not equivalent to membership duty, rests upon course of conduct that could not be abruptly ended without giving at least a reasonable cause for charge of breach of good faith. An affiliate signifies a condition of being united, being in close connection, allied, associated, or attached as a member or branch. Company, an association of a number of individuals for the purpose of carrying on some legitimate business. Organization. Organization includes a corporation, government, or government subdivision, or agency, business trust, estate, trust, partnership, or association of two or more persons having a joint or common interest, or any legal or commercial entity. Now, let's compare that to assembly and assemblage. Assembly, a concourse or meeting together of a considerable number of persons at the same place, also the persons so gathered. Popular assemblies are those where the people meet to deliberate upon their rights. These are guaranteed by the Constitution. Assemblage, a collection of persons. Okay, now notice the difference here. What's different? What do you notice here? What in all these things, don't we see membership, joining, uniting for a common purpose? Do we see that really down here? When you talk about your right to assemble, are you there just meeting together, but for your own individual? Remember, it says here, for those people to deliberate upon their rights. Is that the rights of the entire association? No, it's not an association. It's assembly. You're deliberating your rights. You're defending your rights. This is an assembly or just a meeting where you are completely independent. You're not uniting with anybody. Now, it doesn't mean that you don't share common goals or interests, but you're not uniting for the purposes of creating a hierarchy and a structure, an organization that eventually makes up rules for each member, blah, blah, blah. And now you've bound yourself up again. And if you're all a bunch of persons that have all pledged allegiance to the same sovereign authority, like the state of this or the state of that or the United States or whatever, well, now that's the sovereign that's going to control this artificial person that's composed of a membership of individual persons. Okay, so you want to assemble, not associate. You want to assemble. You want to assemble. You don't want to affiliate. Okay, and that's a big deal, because the minute you start to look like a duck and walk like a duck and talk like a duck, a corporate body, you're going to be assumed. Okay, so I've got a little note here, and I think I've pretty much covered it. Let's make sure that I have. Notice the differences between assembly, assemblage versus association, blah, blah, blah. Okay, the latter connotes corporate attribute. The latter. Yeah, okay, in this, the way I've written it. The association, affiliation, company, not how it's written here, but how I've written it here. So this latter part, which is the beginning part up here, connotes corporate attributes, united, a body, membership, specific purposes, while the former does not. The inalienable right applies to assembly, not association. An association, even an unincorporated association, may be legally regulated because of the status of the persons and what it is they're doing. They're looking like a corporation, and a corporation is an artificial person under the civil law, It's not something that the Creator God ordained. It's something that men ordained in their own power. And then the gods of those men that they've contracted with and bound themselves to have the ultimate authority over that thing that they're creating. So I think I have one more thing here. We'll just look at this real quick. This is a few more definitions out of Black's Law. Membership. Member. One of the persons constituting a family, partnership, association, corporation, guild, court, legislature, or the like. All right, now remember, in the natural law, God wants you to be a member of this. Not this, not this, not this, not this, not this, not this, or anything like it. Just this. So when you go around and say, well, I'm going to constitute an association of people that want to build a planned community. Okay. You're starting over and you're making the same mistakes that got you to where you are now that you're bitching, moaning, complaining about. You must learn to stand on your own under God, not under other men, in associations with as a membership. Okay? So what you want to do is you want to learn to come together in assembly, not association, to almost like a Congress. Like a Congress. We should look. Let me look that one up for you real quick. Let me see if I can find it. I think that's going to take me to a bad link, but there we go. Okay. Let's see, Congress. See if we can find it here real quick. Interesting definition of the word Congress. It's more of an assembly than it is an association in its general form. Let me do this a little faster. Congress. This is from the 1856 Bouvier's again, online edition. Congress. This word has several significations. One, an assembly of the deputies convened from different governments to treat of peace or of other political affairs is called a Congress. Two, Congress is the name of the legislative body of the United States, composed of the Senate and House of Representatives, Okay. But this first definition here, what does that say? An assembly of deputies convened from different governments. Now, think biblically. If I come together from my family, which is an estate that has its own form of government, it's patriarchal and matriarchal in nature, firstborn sons and so on and so forth. But everybody in that natural family has a duty to this familial government. So if I'm the patriarch of my family, the oldest living male, and my wife is the matriarch of our family, and we convene as an assembly with representatives from other families, from other family governments, to treat a peace or other political affairs, would we be in a Congress, an assembly? Yeah. Yeah, and that's not an association because you're representing the corporation that you are a member of, which is your family. You see how that works? So, I don't care if you want to live next to somebody. but don't join with them and don't start acting like an association. Preserve your rights that are invested in your family, in you, and don't give those up. So I hope this makes a little sense to you. I hear so many people talking about now, especially, oh, we got to come together, we got to come together, we got to form, maybe let's form our own little community, let's do this, let's do that. You're repeating the mistakes over and over again, and you're not following the law of God because you don't know the law of God. You don't understand how His kingdom government works, because it's been so long since anybody's done it, for the most part, as a whole bunch of people. So as a nation, so right now that's going to be hard to do because it's going to be difficult because you don't want to, if you remain a 14th Amendment citizen or a citizen of some other state or political entity, some other corporate body as a member, remember your status as a member of that higher, under that sovereign power, is going to have a trickle down effect on everything you do. So every association, that you join, all of that, it's going to have this trickle down effect, and that's what you don't want. When you're coming out of that system, you have to regain all of your personal responsibilities and duties under the Torah, under the law of God, under the law of nature and nature's God, and fulfill those duties and obligations so that you can get access to all those powerful rights again and dominion of choices that you want to preserve by staying only in assembly with others, not associations. So I hope this might help a little bit, maybe steer you away from some of the traps of the world that snag people. May God bless you and keep you. Until next time, goodbye.